Alright, everything in Second Life, like this plane, the road, the windsock, the sign, the street lights, the buildings, the newsstand, the scooter, they're all made with things called primitives. And primitives are not just the building block of Second Life, but they're the basic building block of any virtual reality. And here they are. These are what's used to make up all those things in Second Life. Some of them are brought out in 3D modelers like 3D Max or Blender. They have primitives. They have these. They have the building blocks inside those programs, and you use them to later model what you want. And you can bring it in world, but as for the default in-world building blocks, this is what you have to work with. There's 15 of them, and you'll notice there's 2 missing, which are tree and grass. Which those ones you actually have to have land in order to res those. I've never owned land, so I don't know what those look like when if you do res those. I'm not sure what they look like, but we can make grass just the same and trees as well with the rest of these remaining primitives that we have out here. So let's go ahead and check these out a little closer and their names and whatnot. So first up, we have a cube, and we have a prism, and then we have a pyramid. Now these 2 shapes here they're directly taken from the box. The box has just been tapered to make the pyramid, and it's been path cut to make the prism. And the next shape is the tetrahedron. Then we have the cylinder, which is actually used to make the next following shapes as well. The hemicylinder, the cone, the hemicone. So all those 3 are actually derived from the cylinder, just altering the cylinder. Next we have the sphere, the hemisphere, and then we have 3. These last 3 have a lot of the same they shared special editing tools that aren't used on the other primitives. And these 3 are the torus, the tube, and the ring. Which these, if you look above, these have already preset holes in them. The other prims we can hollow out, but these ones have preset holes. Very handy primitives for using for making bracelets with, or lamps. That one, the ring on the end, that almost already looks like a lampshade. So to get to these primitives and the editing, what you can do is come down here to build and click build, and it brings up the edit menu, or you can right click on the ground, and as long as you're in an area like up here, we're in an area that there's no limits. And I'll just show you real quick. If we walk over here to the street and keep looking up by that name, Bay City Molesworth, up in the left corner, now you see there's a box with a red line, red circle and a cross through it, and then a guy falling backwards with a red circle and a cross through it, which means no rezzing and no pushings. So you can't push avatars. And if you see here on build, we click it, it won't come up, and it's actually darkened. So you need an area where you can build at, which this is a res area, so we can res stuff here. And normally you would be in a sandbox doing this, but sandboxes tend to have trolls in them, And even if it's one troll, it'd make the video end up having to be cut, and I'd have to wait for another time when the troll's gone to redo the video. So we'll do it here. We're in the middle of Bay City. There's nobody around us, as you can see up here by the map. No one's around us. No one's going to bother us. So I can do this video uninterrupted. Okay, so you can click down here for the build menu, or you can right mouse click and hit create, or sometimes there's a little one of the pie charts here will say edit. We'll go to create, and you can see our cursor becomes a magic wand, and if we left click, we'll actually raise a cube. And if we go back up here, there's the controls. This first one's for camera. You can zoom in. You just left click and move your mouse around to zoom in and out, pan. And there's a grab tool where you can grab the prim and move it around. And this is all just left clicking with your mouse. And you have the arrow, and that brings up this menu here with the move, rotate, stretch. You can click left click on your prim, and you can move it with these arrows, the XYZ arrows, or you can rotate it using basically the same arrows, just they're in a ring form now. Stretch gives you these little boxes here. You can stretch along the XYZ with the red, blue, and green. Or if you click the white ones in the corner, you can draw out and make the prim different sizes overall. Magic wand, of course, reses your prims, and this is where your prims are at. As you can see right here is the grass and the tree and the grass one. And then bulldoze. And this is for messing with the land, like flattening the land or raising the land, so you can make mountains and stuff. But once again, you have to own land to be able to do that. You can't just do that anywhere. Let's see here, we got stretch, and then back to messing with the prim. You have select face. What that does, like this cube is made up of 6 faces, and what this does is you can select one face at a time to mess with. Like if you wanted to recolor it, you go into color and hit red, and it's just that one side of the primitive that's red. On some of these round ones, like the cylinder has 3 faces, one face, top face, and then the bottom face. These 3 in the back that are a bit more unusual, they have their faces like all around them. If you start cutting them open, you can expose more faces on the inside that you can alter. What else? The sphere has 1 face, but if you hollow and path cut and start opening it up, it starts opening up other faces within that can be altered as well. Align aligns the primitive. I don't really use the align tool. It says the align tool is busy working, the align tool is finished, but the prim hasn't moved. I'm not really quite sure how to use this. I'm not fully like an expert on SL. I'm just sharing with you what I know. I don't know what that. Maybe it has to be a build to be aligned or something. Like it has to be linked up. Now the edit link, that has to pertain if you have an object made up of a bunch of these, actually more than 2 or more of these prims, you can go back and you can edit one of the building blocks without having to unlink everything and start over. And we have stretch both sides, which that goes along with stretch, and it doesn't mirror stretch. We stretch one side and they both sides will stretch out on the center axis. If you turn it off, you'll be able to just pull one side. Stretch textures, that just makes the texture repeat itself as you're pulling it. So if you get seamless textures, you won't be able to tell where one seam ends and the other begins. But as you can see, our texture of the plywood's like getting cut on both sides. And then if you check that back, it'll actually squish and stretch the texture rather than making repeat textures. Snap, what that means, that goes along with the rotate. The snap is short for snap to grid, and if you left click on this blue ring, you can rotate this. Like if you wanted the red piece facing south, you grab the ring and you could rotate it. Just left click and hold the left mouse button down, and you can rotate on that axis. But you might need the prim to be perfectly aligned with the south axis. So when you have that snap to grid checked, when you move your cursor out of this white ring right here, it'll activate the snap to grid, and you just pull it to south, or if you want it east or wherever. But once you have it there and you release your left mouse button, it's perfectly in line with the southerly direction. And you can do that with any of these, like the green. You can snap that to where that part's facing west, and you highlight the red ring, do the same thing, left mouse click, straight up. It's really handy for keeping everything in line when you're building. Then we have edit access at root, which that means that on a single prim, it's going to be edited at the root anyways. But if you have part of a build, like if we res another cube out and we link them together by holding by highlighting one cube with the left mouse button, hold down shift and you click on the other one, and you see I have link and unlink here. You just hit link. Now this is one object. And edit access at root, you click that and it'll go to whatever prim is the last prim you selected. But if you click it off, it'll go right into the middle of the build. So here it's right in the middle of the two prims, even though one's longer than the other. It's like right in the middle. So if we were to rotate it, it would rotate all together. It'll rotate on that center axis. Otherwise, it'll swing the other prim around, as you can see. And then show highlight just shows how, you see how there's like a blue line around this prim and then a yellow one around this prim. If you click that, it's unhighlighted. You could still move it and edit it, but it's harder to see, or harder to know what you're messing with. And then we have unlink, this button here. You just click it and it unlinks everything. You can relink it. Now if you built something and let's say you want to move this right prim closer to the left prim, you would hit that edit link prim. You would left click on the prim you want moved, and you can move it by itself and uncheck edit link prim, and now you can move it once again as a whole object. Then just down here in this general tab here is name object. Just put like 2 boxes, and then description. Put 2 cubes, even though one's a rectangle. It doesn't matter. And it shows who the creator is, us, the owner is us, and then the last owner. And you could deed this if you wanted to a group. Like if you hit share, I think it's supposed to come, no, I guess not. I thought if you click share it would highlight that, but it touched the default. You can make it to where when you click on it, you get the little share icon, and then you click, you'll just automatically sit on it. And then you just hit the stand button over here to stand back up. And you see there's that edit piece of the pie. And then down here you can put, if you want to sell it, you sell it for 10 lindens, or you can change it, like 500 lindens, and you hit apply, and you can buy a copy. If something was in the box, you could hit contents, or you could hit original, and they buy just what you see here. Usually stuff's sold as copies, so there's always a copy around. And click show and search, so if you bring up search and look for that item, you'll be able to find it. Anyone, you can click for them to move it and copy it, and you can just leave it here on the ground, and somebody can come walking by and they can take a copy if they wanted, or they can move it. Then this is like for the next owner. If I wanted to hand it to somebody and I didn't want them to give it away, but I wanted them to have a copy, you would check copy. Or if you wanted them to modify it, you can let them modify it. Unclick that. Now if you uncheck that, if you want to pull this in your inventory, you can, as you can see now, you can mess with the transfer. I mean, no transfer. I mean, the next person can't give it away, or if you want them to be able to modify it and make the changes they want to make to it, you can check or uncheck that. And object, this is where a lot of the building is at. Let me just unlink. Okay, now these things are separate objects. So this one here, lock, makes it lock even to you. You can't move it, but you can always uncheck it. This is real handy for if you have a house, like on a piece of land, and you're messing with something in your house and you don't want to accidentally move your house. You can click that and lock your house down. And physical gives it physical properties, so if you pull this up and you click off of it, it'll just fall down. Temporary, you check that and click away from it. It has it'll stay there for several seconds and then it'll disappear. And I think you actually might be able to go into preferences and adjust that length of time that the prim has before it disappears. It's taking a little bit of time for it to disappear though. Oh, they really give you quite a bit of time to re-grab it if you accidentally... Oh, there it goes. I guess if you accidentally make something temporary and you have to click back on it and make it untemporary, I guess you have plenty of time to do that. And then Phantom just makes it that you can walk through it. It's making it like a wall. And it's Phantom, and now we can pass right through it. That's handy on some builds where if you have like a sculpted piece that you wouldn't normally be able to walk through and you have to put a hard prim down, like stairs or something, you can put the sculpted build can be Phantom, and then the prims underneath that to support your avatar, like walking up like sculpted steps or whatever, can be solid, so it appears that you're walking on the sculpted item. If you uncheck Phantom and click away, and now it should be solid again. Yep, now it's solid. You can't walk through it. That's just the perimeter default state is like that. It's like a wall that's solid. Oh, it's fun if you hit physical. And what'll happen is you'll actually be able to knock it around. You could do it to spheres and turn them into like beach balls. It's actually the first thing that I believe that was the first thing that was scripted in Second Life was a beach ball. Turn off physical and swing my camera around. Yeah, what else we got? Here we got a drop down menu where you can, if you res the box but you want a cylinder, you can just click a cylinder. It's kind of an oval because we changed the, there we go. We stretched it out a little bit. And you got prism and sphere. You can bring out any prim, pretty much turn it into any other prim. And then there's some here, line, half circle. These are all like got cuts in them already. Circle 2, half circle. That's got a funky cut in it. Huh. I didn't know I could do all that. I usually don't use them. I use just the basic building blocks as a test circle. Or if you use this one here, you get sculpted. And the prim disappears for a little bit while the sculpt map loads. And when it comes back in the shape of, well, normally it would be sitting like this. So when you hit sculpt, it turns into this cherry apple shaped prim. And all the cuts and all the info below kind of goes away, and you're left with this map. Well, this picture, this rainbow picture, but it's really a sculpt map. And if you type in, I'll just type right here, sculpt. These are sculpt maps, and they all look like rainbow pictures, but if you click on them, they'll actually end up turning your prim into whatever the sculpt map says it is. So this one here, if we look at it, it's a balloon sculpt, and you can see it turns your prim into a balloon. We've got a sculpt here for banana. And you get these maps by modeling the items in you model them in like Blender or 3D Max. There we go. There's a banana sculpt. The sculpts just they add more detail than a regular prim while using less building blocks. This one's the Iron Cross. Whoops. I'll just spin the camera. There we go. And there's all kinds of sculpts. There's sculpts for vehicles and sculpts to make buildings and clothes and stuff. Well, that was the old, I think around 2007 sculpts came out. But more recently, since 2011, mesh has been the new thing. Which mesh you can't get to mesh like this with a sculpt. Mesh is a separate type of model that's brought into world. But hit the drop down menu, hit box, and you get back the rest of your controls. Position just messes with position and along the XYZ. Size shrinks the size along the XYZ. A shrink or enlarge along the XYZ. Rotation spins it. Usually I spin and size and position all just with up here. I usually don't mess with typing in the numbers. Usually, sometimes I will, but sometimes I'll copy paste numbers if I need a quick build. There's some people that they build only by numbers, but I like the more hands-on approach of left clicking and grabbing and physically moving the prim in that manner. And we got path cut. Now just get the camera spun here, and you can see that just puts a cut into the prim, and then you can cut from the other end as well. And let's see, hollow. We'll hollow the center out. And we got skew, which that's going to, okay, it's going to do nothing in with a block prim, but in some other prims it'll skew them, it'll kind of twist them around. And let's see what else. We've got twist here. You twist the prim in one direction, and then you can come over here and hit the opposite button to further twist it up. You can just triple click on them and hit 0 to return them back to normal. We got taper, which one side here is already tapered. Top shear will just shift the prim along from the bottom. You can do negative and positive on top shears. And you can shear go in the other direction as well. You can make some steps or something in that manner. And slice will just slice it from the bottom or the top, depending on which slice control you type on, or which slice control you click on. That's handy for shrinking down and making smaller prims. And radius and revolutions, I don't really mess with those. But actually, if we click it, it's not seeming to do anything. Revolutions. Okay, I'm not sure what those do. We got features, flexible path. This one's a really fun one. Just shore up our cube here. If you click flexible path, at first it seems like nothing is. Excuse me. It seems like nothing's changed in our prim. But you click rotate, and using the rotate feature, now you see that prim is very wavy. And I think at this stage too, it's in a phantom state, I believe. I think it's in a phantom state. Yeah, it goes to a phantom state automatically. So it's flexible. This is awesome because you can make, let's see, the box and the cylinder are both prims that you can make flexi, so you can make like a top hat, or you can make a flag out of the box shape. As you can see here, it automatically defaults. It blacks out physical and phantom, and it is checked phantom just automatically. But yeah, it's flexi prim. You can make all kinds of stuff, tassels and whatnot with this feature. And then here you got the softness and the gravity you can play with. So gravity negative, and bring your flexi prim up or back down. And the softness of the flexi prim, and the wind force, and because there's wind in Second Life, sometimes you can hear it, but with flexi prims, the wind, if you set it to, it can actually like affect your flexi prims, and you can have like a flag blowing in the breeze. You click off flexi prim, and then we got light down here. If we click that, well, actually, let me go to sun position at midnight. Well, we'll better see this feature. Hit light, and it actually throws light. And if you click on this white square, this is a color picker for what color light you want to throw, like red, yellow, green, blue, pink, brown, orange. It's good for like brake lights on cars. You can have them actually throw red. Headlights, you can have them throw yellow or white light. Oh, and along with that as well, there's the intensity. So it's already set to the max intensity, and you can dim that down so it's not blasting people. And the radius is just the radius of the light source, and you can take that down too to where it's like 1, and it'll only throw light in a small area. And then fallout is how far back you can pull back before you don't see the light anymore. And if you uncheck that, everything goes dark again. So go back to midday. So that's pretty cool because you can make headlights and taillights work on vehicles. Physics shape type, that's when you're building. Sometimes you'll need to select none, but this all has to do with, like, if you're building something and you want one prim to be in a phantom state so you can walk through it while keeping other prims in a physical type state, or where you can't walk through them, you use this button. And convex hull used especially when building vehicles over 32 prims, because in the beginning of SL, and even like to this day, you have to keep your prims under 32 when you're building a vehicle normally, but there's a glitch using the convex hull and using the none physics shape type, and if you use that glitch you can get around it, and you can make your vehicle out of more than just 32 prims, or 31 prims I mean. Texture, we got color, you can color the whole prim like we did with that face select, that select face feature, where you can select the whole prim and change it green, blue, purple, green, yellow. And then texture, and you just hit OK or cancel. And you can also put the RBG red, blue, green code in as well, or you can just click right here and click OK, and your prim will be that color. Transparency, you can make windows. If you go up, you can start to see through the prim. Give it more transparency. There we go. So you can see through it. You can make like a ghost or something using that, or windows. Use it for windows. And then glow will actually make the prim glow like a neon light. But I don't have my glow enabled in my viewer because it causes lag. So I don't. If we had glow, we hit that, the prim would actually glow like a light bulb. Full bright makes the prim light up, which you can kind of see it on the end, but let me go back to the night setting. There we go. Hit full bright, and you see the whole prim brightens up, and you can really see it if you select the color. I will put green, okay. You can see it just lights up. It doesn't throw any light, it just lights up itself, almost like a neon sign. Which is pretty cool because you can use full bright to make a sign and then go back to the features and have it actually throw green light. It's like that. So that'd be a pretty cool feature. So moving on, we got materials. I don't really mess with that. Materials, media. And we have texture, diffuse texture. If we click that down, we get bumpiness, which will actually put a bumpy, it'll put like a bumpy texture on our, not really a texture, it'll put like a bumpy relief on our object. It has none. Brightness, wood grain. I'll give like a wood grain relief, or the look of bark on a prim, or the look of bricks. It'll be like actual like relief, like carved in. Then we have shininess, and the shininess starts off at none and it goes to low. Actually, we're going to go ahead and real quick change this to a sphere because it's easier to see. Actually, you know what? Let me just go to more and delete and just I'll res a sphere so I don't have to fix that one. There we go. And back to texture. Back to shininess. We have none, low. You can see it's starting to get a shine on it. Medium and high, which high is almost chrome. And you can, if you put colors on them, as you can see, the color gets real washed out the higher the shine is. Start coming down, it starts looking a little better, and the color looks a little more rich. And that texture, you click this, it'll bring up a window. Actually, let me get rid of the color. Back to white. Okay. This is the default texture on prims. But if you hit blank, it'll strip it away and just it'll be a clean, no texture. Transparent will make it invisible. But you really want to be careful when you're using that because it'll be really hard to track down where you left that transparent prim. And default just brings it back to the wood grain. But then if you wanted to give a texture, now we're in the library, which everybody has a library folder. It's all the way at the bottom of your inventory. You go to textures, there's all these different textures, and there's some that are buildings, and you click them. You just click on them and they'll throw out in Spanish tile, so we just throw Spanish tile, siding, shingles, plywood, bricks, concrete. There's all kinds of, that kind of looks like the moon right there. We've got floor tile. So textures are just basically pictures. And these are just pictures of tiles that you can throw on and end up making a floor. There's hair textures, miscellaneous steel plate, small plastic bumps, plastic big bumps. It gives you a preview of what it's going to look like. Rocks. Then if you wanted, you could add color in there. So if you wanted a red rock, you can hit the color, or yellow rock or green rock or whatever. Gray rock. Undersea, just coral reef. There's a wet sand texture where it's just like somebody just took a picture of wet sand, and you can throw that on a prim and make it look like wet sand, like you're at the beach or something. You can make a sandcastle that way. And you got horizontal scale. Let me go and I'll go and re-pick a texture so we can mess with the horizontal and the vertical scaling. I'll use a floor tile so we can better see it, what's going on. Actually, let me change this into a box so we can really see what's going on. There we go. So I got mapping, default and planning. I don't really mess with that. What's another? Okay, so with the horizontal scale, all this does is it's going to add more. If you click up, it'll add more of the same texture, and then you can click down to reduce the number of texture. And same with vertical, it'll bring more in, more textures in, and then you can shrink them back out. Repeats per meter does horizontal scale and vertical scale all at once, so it just automatically starts throwing a lot of the texture, a lot more of the textures around. Then we have rotation. Get these back to where they were. There we go. Rotation just spins it 90 degrees positive. Not 90 degrees, but it'll rotate it in positive degrees and negative degrees, or you can just type them in. And then horizontal offset moves the picture horizontally, so you can adjust right where you want it. And the vertical does the same thing vertically, so you can stop it right where you need it. You can adjust it. This is really handy when you're doing a select face. If you wanted to offset this one from the other one, you could, as you can see there. And then content, we have new script. So if you wanted to put a script in, which is what a script does, is just it tells the program what to do. You can hit new script and it'll throw in a new script, but you'll have to actually go in and copy paste what script you want into this, because this script just says hello if you touch the prim. See, touch it, object touch, hello avatar, object touch. Or you can just drag and drop. Left click and drag and drop a script into the contents if you want that prim to do something. Certain action, like maybe you want a door to open in a house. There's permissions. You can set permissions, which you can already do that from the general tab down here, like we already went over. And you can refresh, or you can reset the scripts within if you're building something. Also in the contents, what you can do too is, like, we'll take this yacht and just left click, drag it, and drop it in here. Now if we wanted to sell this as a yacht kit, you can put yacht for sale and 10 linens, click for sale. Now automatically puts that you'll buy this object when you click on it. And copy, no, put contents. Then when someone comes over, they get the Linden $, and if they click on it, they get a pop-up that says buy a copy of yacht for sale. And then it says, oh, if the yacht's no copy, no modifier, whatever the permissions are, which that's just the sales box here. And they're saying contains the yacht, which is full perm, has no restrictions on copy, modifying, or transferring. And buy for 10, and you just click buy, and you'll get a folder with the yacht in it. Or you can hit cancel if you didn't mean to click on it. And we'll get more into that later on too. After we're building, we'll get into a selling video or further detailing selling and whatnot. Unclick for sale and goes back to touch default. So that's about it for the for this edit menu. 90% of the building in SL is just hands-on, just getting in yourself, getting yourself to a sandbox and going out and actually building something and stretching the prims and stuff. That being said, I'm gonna bring up. So you click the wand, left click the wand, left click on the cube, and left click on the ground to res a cube. And what we're gonna make for our first object, it's a really good object. It'll be a picture frame, which is what, or a picture within a frame, which is what that's almost everybody's first object in Second Life. And it's good because it'll teach you a couple different steps. It uses a couple different steps that are pretty key in building. So what we're first going to do is, if we go to hollow, hold on, let me scoot the camera up. Start hollowing. You notice all the hollows tend to be vertical when you hollow. So we're going to hit rotate and drag our cursor over to highlight the red. Let me spin my camera around a little bit better. Highlight the red circle, left click and hold, drag your cursor up to snap to grid and go from up to south. Click on stretch, highlight the blue square and push the prim back about that much. Highlight the red square, left click and drag out just a little bit and do the same thing with the green. There we go. Now for the camera controls, what I'm doing is I'm just holding down Alt and then I'm left clicking. You can see that little looks like a rearview mirror, but I guess it's a little magnifying glass. And then I'm left clicking with the mouse, and while holding Alt, and I can move around the mouse and move all around the object. Next, what I'm going to do is click move. Now I'm going to hold down Shift and select my cursor over the green arrow, and I'm going to hold, while holding down Shift, I'm going to left click on the mouse and pull forward and release Shift, and that's made an exact duplicate of our frame. Now with that, I'm going to unhollow that, make it solid. I'm going to hit stretch both sides, click stretch, and then I'm going to highlight one of these white squares, and I'm going to stretch it down just a little bit, right about there. I'm going to stop. I'm going to grab the blue square, highlight that, and kind of press in a little bit. Uncheck stretch both sides, and I'm going to move the second cube into the first. I'm going to cam to the back and get it almost to the end, right about there. Okay. Now we're going to take the center cube here, go to textures, click on texture, wait for it to come up. We're going to scroll all the way down to our library. Now in your regular, in the rest of your inventory, you have textures folder and a photo album. And the difference is a texture is something you upload into Second Life, and the photo in the photo album is actually one where you would actually highlight the snapshot button here and actually take a picture. And a snapshot would be held within Second Life, although you can always upload the snapshots from Second Life into your PC and vice versa. You can take pictures from your PC and upload them into Second Life. But for now, since we've just come in World, we're going to go to Library, Textures. Actually, you know what? Not Textures. We're going to go into Photo Album. They have preset photo albums. So just click on this first one. Asian Tea House. You can go through these later on. Beautiful Day. They take a couple moments for them to fully load up and get clear. There we go. Let's move my camera so you can see it. Fashionable Couple. So we'll get Asian Tea House. Click OK. And then click on the frame. And then click Texture. And go all the way back down to your library. Go into Textures instead. Go all the way down to the Wood folder. Open the Wood folder and pick wood. Brazilian rosewood. It's a nice dark wood. Bubinga, a little lighter. Cherry wood. Mahogany, old wood. Peeling paint. Redwood. Redwood kind of gives, it's like paneling. It's got lines in it. It's like, it's paneling. Tree bark. Very rough texture. And walnut. think Brazilians looks nice, but it's a little too dark. We'll go with Bubinga or Cherry. I guess Bubinga is nice. Click OK. Now we're going to join them together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the picture, hold down Shift, highlight your frame, not highlight, but select your frame with the left mouse button, release Shift, go over here to link, and link. Now it says one object selected, which the whole item is now an object, and it says here land in pack 2. Land in pack 2, that just means there's 2 primitives on the land, because the land has the it's like you take a memory from the land, because the land, since the land's residing on a computer server, this its picture frame is taking up 2 prims worth of memory from that land. That's what it's almost like the fire code in The Sims, kind of, except if you over prim the land, you just can't prim, you can't res anything else out, you can't bring out anything else. So unlike the Sims, your stuff won't burst into flame. You just won't be able to take anything out. You have to bring some stuff back in if you want to res anything else out. Okay, so we're going to cam over here to the back of the picture, click select face, and we're going to click the picture, hold down Shift, and then select the picture frame as well. As you can see here, it says multiple. You got multiple textures selected. We'll go to color and just hit black. Now we have a definite back and front for the for our picture. You hit move to unselect those 2 and select everything as a whole. And then one more thing we can do also is hit full brighten. That kind of brightens up everything. You kind of see it in the edge of the picture frame right here on the inside as well. So now it's full bright. Yeah, actually, this way if you have it hanging up anywhere and you're at midnight, your picture will still shine through. That picture's shining no matter what, even if it's off full bright. Alright. Might be my light settings might be kind of screwed up, but anyways, there you go. That's your first object, and you can go to general and put framed Asian tea house. You can click out of here. And then what you always want to do is you want to pick up your item, and you take it in your inventory, because if you delete it, there's no way you can get this back. So you want to make sure to right click on your item, bring up the pie chart, and then select take, and it'll actually go into, or sometimes it'll open up your objects folder and it'll jump in there. But if it doesn't, and you take up the item you just made, you just go here to object folder and open it, and there you go, framed Asian tea house. You can left click, drag, you hold down left click, drag it out, and then release left click, and it'll drop out facing the same direction it was when you took it in to your inventory. And from here you can delete it and you have a copy of it in your inventory. And if you wanted to, you could even like wear it. And what you do to wear it is you just click it, and you can either hit wear or add. If you hit wear, like by default this is gonna appear on our right hand, but if you have like a ring on your right hand and you click wear, that frame picture will automatically take off your ring and replace your ring with the tea house picture. Whereas if you hit add, it'll just add to it. So you just click add, and now it adds to our hand. And from here you can click on it. Well, you can click on it and hit detach if you want to take it off, or you can hit edit if you want to move it around in your hand, put it more like under our arm, like we're carrying it, like that, and it looks like you're carrying it. They do that a lot for the surfboards in SL. People be walking around with surfboards, and when you wear something like this, it automatically turns it into a phantom state. As you can see, it's going through our body. But if you don't want to wear it, you can, you can right click on the object and hit detach, or you can come to it in your inventory, right click and hit detach from yourself, or you can just double left tap it with the mouse button and it'll come right off. Now if you don't want it on your hand, you can go to attach, go up here, and you can put it anywhere you want. So we'll put it to our spine. Click that, now it's on our spine. Right click, hit edit, and then highlight the blue arrow and pull it back. And it's upside down, so we'll go ahead, hit rotate, and rotate it around. And when you res this out, it's going to be upside down when you res it out on the ground, but for something you want to wear, you just edit it like this, bring it out a little more, minimize my inventory, click off of edit, and now it's like we're walking around with a picture gallery right in front of us. That's pretty cool, isn't it? And it'll go through stuff too, because it's in a phantom state, so it'll go like through the plane. This is how you make and wear things like hats and rings and whatnot, which we're gonna be building that later on too. There's gonna be quite a few building videos I got planned. Man, my AO really likes to spin around. Stop spinning around. And click on that and detach. Go back to our inventory, but now when we res it out, it'll be sitting flat on his back. I thought it was going to be upside down. Just click to edit it, right click on it, edit, rotate, left click on the ring, pull up with the mouse while holding down left arrow, snap to grid. Whoops, didn't mean to click on my inventory. Snap to grid, and there we go. Bring it up out of the ground. There we go. And we can take this copy as well. Now we have two of them in our inventory. Or if you wanted to have an extra one too, what you can do is right click with your mouse and select copy, and then you can go to, let's say, note cards, right click and go down to paste. Okay, whatever that was, I don't want to wear that. And then you see we have one of the picture frames pasted in note cards folder. Or if you wanted to come up here and hit, create, you could create new folder. New folder. Asian Tea House picture. Run all the way back up. Put framed. There we go. And then just click on another folder just to get off that. There we go. FFF. There we go. Framed Asian Tea House picture. Now go to recent items. Then what we're going to do is take our picture and select it with the, actually we're going to get both. We're going to highlight it with the left, or the click of the left mouse button. We're going to hold down shift, and while holding down shift we're going to left click on the other one as well. This pairs them up. So now we're going to left click on them again and hold and pull out of the inventory. I think we only got two. I mean, we only got one. Sometimes my mouse is crappy. I don't have a mouse pad, so do that again. Left click one, hold down shift, left click the other one, then release shift, left click and hold, bring them out, hit all items, and you'll go to your main inventory, and then bring them down into your folder, and then drop them. That'll take some practice. And there you go. There you go. They're out of our objects and they're into our special made folder. And you can do other stuff here. New script, new note if you want to do note cards. We'll get into that. New gestures, new clothes or new body parts. Yeah, sort by name, by date. Folders always by name. System folders to top. Search, inventory, open. I mean, all the stuff you can do just by clicking on the folders and getting information that way. But I think that concludes this video on building basics. It's just getting to know these prims. Oh, let me show you real quick on these path cuts. As we're looking at, these path cuts will cut the prims like you're seeing them do. But when you get to these last three, the path cut is like the same as the other prims, but on these ones here you can do a profile cut, and you're actually cutting the inside out, which is really good for this torus shape, because you can make motorcycle fenders by doing that cut and then selecting hollow. It's a great way to make fenders. And the same thing can be done here, profile cut. It's good for making table legs out of like rings and toruses and stuff. And so you can still path cut them, but you have that additional profile cut, and they can be hollowed as well. And then the ring is the same profile cut. But the other prims, like the regular cylinder and stuff, they don't have the profile cuts. These I guess you'd call them hold prims, because they have the hole already in them, are the only ones that can be done in this manner. You can hollow them out. See, it's getting hollow there. And they have a hole size feature, which the first feature kind of squashes and compacts them, and the second one actually makes the hole big or small. And that's what, just with these three here on the end, it'll do that. Scoot over. Hole size, which is really handy if you're making these into fenders, or you're making them into rings or bracelets. That comes in real handy. Now the only other one that has a special feature is the sphere, and the hemisphere obviously, but the sphere has a dimple feature, which I think the dimple is happening on the underside of it. Yep, the dimple feature. So it'll dimple one side, and then if you go to the top side, you can see you can dimple that side too. And then you have the same path cut feature, and then a hollow, which comes right out of the center. It's almost like the torus and the other prims. If you didn't want the dimple, so we could turn the dimple off. Oh, go down, go down, go down, go down. Make like a bowl or something. Undo the path cut. Now what's cool is with this, if you select, let's get out of editing. Stay in editing prims. You hit select face, as you can see here. I just use colors real quick to differentiate these faces on the cube, on the sphere I mean. So outside red, that face green, and the inside yellow. There you can kind of see how many faces are on the sphere. Quite a few. Plus the other side, if you have a dimple on the other side, you can make that other dimple face another color, or another texture even. You do the same thing with this yellow on the inside, pink, pink, brown, orange. There's quite a few faces, and red. There's quite a few colors you can give on these prims. You can do some pretty cool stuff with them. Make them into goblets or lamps or whatever you want. So I guess that would conclude the building basics and the basics of what path cuts and hollows are and stuff for the prims. In the next video we'll start building some more stuff. Probably build like a chair. Let's clean up my mess here. So in future videos I'll go over like how to build the chairs and stuff, and then we'll slowly work our way up to building like tables and chairs, and then up to bigger stuff like vehicles, simple cars, and then get into like simple motorcycles, and then start building some of the fun stuff and start getting a little more detailed in the builds and whatnot. But I'm going to end this video here. So let me get back to in my motorhome real quick to end this video. Also, what I'm going to do in the videos too is show you how to virtually flip stuff, how to take old builds and revamp them and use them as kind of a springboard to so you're not having to build something totally from the ground up if you don't want to. If you want to just take something as it is and improve on it or fix on it. We'll make some videos on that too. That'd be pretty cool. Like this this motorhome I have here, I actually made out of a bus that was already in Second Life. And let me go and I'm going to dig out the bus and put it side by side so you can see the motorhome next to the bus that it originally used to be. Okay guys, so I found it. Now, this is a hobo bus. This is one of the old Arcadia Asylum builds from the early in SL's early history, and it's one of those full perm freebie vehicles you can get. I think you're not allowed to sell them as is. You have to give them out. But I took this dingy city bus that they had and I made it longer and wider and taller, and ended up revamping it with some old furniture stuff that I have to make this RV. And redid the textures and got a sofa and a bed. The sofa and the bed are all old stuff. So is the nightstand and the lamp. Those are all old builds. And then this white square here you see on the side is actually a MyTV scripted TV that has internet access, so you can actually watch YouTube while you chill out in the bed. The bed's got a love menu on it. If you click it, love menu comes up, so you can snuggle with your mate if you wanted to. And as the door opens up, I have a glass coffee table here. No coffee on it though, but. And then this couch was like an old broken sofa that was from some other build that I took, and I straightened up some of the cushions that were a little wonky, and I put it in this RV, as well as part of a kitchen set that was meant for a house. I scaled some of the stuff down and made it fit. But we're going to be going over videos like that. And also, if anybody's interested in these hobo vehicles, I have a bunch of them that they're, I think for the most part they're all full perm vehicles. You can mess around with them and rescript them and rebuild them if you want. I got the hobo bicycle. I got all kinds of variations on the hobo junk wagon that you'll see a lot in Second Life. You'll see that hobo junk wagon almost everywhere. And just to show you what that hobo junk wagon is, let me delete the bus. Like a Mack truck here. Look at all these. I mean, I got this all out of the there's a hobo sim that had all this stuff. Hobo junk wagon. This is just a hobo pickup truck that you've seen in SL a million times. I mean, even when you're new to SL, you'll see this thing like all over the place. And it has different variations, like the Mack Truck open flatbed. Where's it at? It didn't res. Huh? There we go. You see, these are all different variations on that Hobo junk wagon, but I don't know if anybody else drives these anymore. I mean, I do. I still mess with them. They're still cool to play around with. And you got the Grunge taxi cab. I think I have a cleaned up version of the taxi cab too. So that's how to put that in my marketplace store, is the cleaned up version of the taxi, because a lot of times you just see the grunge version of the taxi, but I think somewhere I have the actual clean one. But the Garwood garbage truck, which that's another variation of the Hobo junk wagon, is converted into a garbage truck. Spin around, you can see that. That would actually be the basis for a pretty cool camper truck too, if you stretch that out and re-texture that back of that trash truck. If anybody wants any of these vehicles, I'll toss them your way. I mean, it's no problem. As a Metro taxi cab, you always see this one. You always see this version, the grunge version, up for grabs. But there's a clean version running around where it's all like brand new. But that version's like hard to get. But actually, I have it. So if anybody wants that version, you know, come in the world and IM me, and I'll hand it over to you. Yeah, it's not all like painted over like this poor thing is. This thing's trashed. Alright guys, that concludes our building basics, intro to primitives, and intro into building 101 and SL, which that in other virtual worlds like InWorlds, the building's about the same kind of building editor and stuff. But anyways, it's getting late, so I'm going to go ahead and head back into the back of this motorhome and get 40 winks. But in the meantime, if you like this video, then you know what to do. You make your daddy proud by hitting that like and subscribe button like you mean it. And until the next video, this is Thomas XSL saying take care.